Speaking of McLaren, though, how does Lando Norris respond after an embarrassing end to the Canadian Grand Prix?
Embarrassing is not the word I would use.
I would call it embarrassing.
Of course you would. I'm the Lando truther and you're the Lando hater, and that's how this thing coexists.
Whoa, what level of misinformation is happening
here? Oh, misinformation, ass.
I am reporting it as
you get off on watching me pump up Lando Norris just to tear me down.
I'm not going to deny that.
Exactly, yeah, no, I know you won't. Anyway, again, I wouldn't say embarrassing. I would say a miscalculated, risky move.
Try to pull a Lightning McQueen running up against the wall.
Yeah. He's just mowing the grass, man. That's all it was.
He's kissing the back of his teammates' left rears. Anyway, how's he gonna follow it up?
On that note, look, I think that this track suits McLaren extremely well. I think this is a track that both of McLarens can be. You want to bounce back weekend if you're McLaren. This is the weekend to do it. This is a track that suits them well. I think this is a track that both Lando and Oscar can really shine in. I think from the beginning in Canada, it just did not look like their weekend. And, well, as things progressed, other than that last 15 lap stint that Lando had where he was really turning it on and he was, right behind Oscar and he was fighting for a potential P3 or, who knows. Other than that, it was not McLaren's weekend. It did not look like it had earlier on in the year, like it did in Canada. So Austria could be very good for McLaren. I'm very excited.
But as far as Lando
specifically, I don't know, man. I really don't. I think that at this rate, Lando could net a win. He could end up P5, or we could get a 1-2. I honestly don't know. This rate,
I'd be surprised if he had.
He's been all over the place, man. He went from
the world championship favorite to open the year.
I'm not even talking about world championship favorite. We're not talking about betting odds here. I'm just saying he went from stacking together wins to falling off the edge of a cliff to winning Monaco and then wrecking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you can get from Lando at this rate.
Not consistency.
I mean, sure, that's fine. Yeah, you can say that's fine. You can say he's not a consistent driver.
At least not with this kind of pressure on him. But I think the overall, for me, when it comes to Lando Norris, I don't expect him to have back-to-back blunders like he did in Canada. I don't think it's going to happen 2 race weekends in a row. They have that nice weekend off, get a little bit of a reset. However, I think he does have to regain some confidence. If he's going to walk into Austria this weekend, I think for him, it's about netting just a general best result. Landing on a podium would be fantastic for Lando Norris. I would be surprised if he's fighting directly at the front, starting P1. Obviously, he was fighting at the front last year with Max Verstappen before that incident. Obviously, he didn't get a chance to finish that race because, his tire connecting with Max Verstappen. Max able to finish that race, questionably penalized for that race. But I don't think that Lando's quite my contention to win. And I just think it's a rebuild weekend for him. Overall, making a poor judgment in Canada, making that mental error and getting a little bit too aggressive against your teammate. He took it all on the chin. He was incredibly accountable for it, which we praised him plenty on this podcast, and other members of the media have too. But if I'm Lando Norris, just take away the best possible points, try to fight for a podium. P3, P2 would be fantastic, but I just don't see him following up Canada with a race win. If he does, I'd be surprised, pleasantly surprised even, because it keeps this championship interesting.
It just means that he'll just keep getting punched, but he's not going to go down.
Exactly. So it keeps things conversational. It doesn't let Oscar Piastri run away with it. I think there's 22 points that separate them right now in the Drivers' Championship.
Yes, I want to say that that's an accurate statement. Yeah, 22 points. But while you're talking about that, I just want to look at – I'm going to look back at my notes because I think this really sums it up perfectly for McLaren. I wrote, this weekend, in all caps, will not be a slam dunk for either driver. Just focus on max points, and a good, maybe not great weekend will be in store.
I think I kind of disagree, though. I think that Oscar is still in the running to win. Now, that's a boring statement to make. I get it. He's been dominating all year. He's got the most race wins. He's leading the damn championship. So saying that itself isn't a novel idea. However, he still finished the race last week, and McLaren still had the best car generally across this season. I think Oscar Piastri also has something to prove going into this race, because if you remember qualifying last year, he lost out on qualifying in P3 by this much on review.
Yeah.
This much. So he dropped down from P3 to P7. That much of a margin could have been his first race win, by the way, in Formula One.
He finished second behind George.
Exactly. So having that much of a margin, him chasing George Russell pretty much the entire day at that point last year, if the McLaren of Lando Norris and the Red Bull of Max Verstappen do not crash like they did last year, and if he has that much more tire covering off the white line, so to speak, he wins that race last year. He performed well in the sprint as well. And I think that he walks into this weekend with something to prove. The major improvements in qualifying this season, I think Oscar Piastri should be considered the front runner for this weekend's Austrian Grand Prix. That's my two cents.
Here's the last thing that I'll say. When I read off what I read, I guess in a more simpler term, just focus on the basics. And for Oscar Piastri, that could mean just go out there and be Oscar Piastri. And that could mean a race win. I'm not saying, hey, don't be risky or don't drive. Like, just focus on the basics. Let's not do anything ultra risky. Lando Norris. Let's not do anything that's going to jeopardize the team going forward. We just need a good bounce back. Focus on the basics. Let's go be McLaren again kind of weekend. And I think if you do that, you gain max points. You look forward. I think that's what they should do.
And I want to hear from you guys. You let us know what you think is going to happen this weekend down in the comments, especially when it comes to McLaren. Which of these two drivers is going to come out in front? I certainly think it's going to be Oscar Piastri. I think you probably feel similarly. It kind of sounds like
we'll see. I haven't made up my mind.
I know you're an absolute believer in the LN4 army.
Yeah, I need to try that monster drink. That thing looks toxic, but I need to try it.
It's like the
Lando Norris monster drink.
That that nuclear waste.
Yeah, literally, that's what it looks like.
What do we? We were watching me and so forth. Can't help it. But I want to
let us know. Let us know what you think. And I will beef with you in the comments, respectfully.